Hello everyone. This is Oni, and today I have for you a review for Caffeine Victoria's Legacy. Now, before we get into it, all I want to say is that I was given a free code for the purpose of reviewing the game, but that in no way affects the upcoming review. And as usual, you just have some random gameplay. Of me playing the game. By the looks of it, it was just a video I took of me skipping a bunch of dialogue to try to figure out a specific route for a character's ending. So, without further ado, let's just get into the review, shall we? When Taka's father dies and he gets a mysterious note about his mother, he decides to go to the land of Victoria to piece together his broken memories and figure out why his family broke apart in the first place. While on the plane, he's given coffee by a mysterious person. The plane blows open, and before Taka knows it, he's flying through the air and ends up in the mysterious steampunk land of Victoria, where coffee rules all. Unfortunately for Taka, while in Victoria, he can't take all the time he wants to find his mother and solve the puzzle. Instead, he takes on a job at the coffee house named after him, and during all of this, he also needs to take a barista test to help save the coffee house, lest it be shut down forever and he be thrown in jail. The weird thing about Victoria is that being a barista is the peak job. You are lauded after. Everyone loves you because you can not only brew the perfect cup of coffee, but you have such talents that you can bring out all the flavors that are found in the beans themselves. While baristas have this talent, it also lends to the other weird thing about the world. The power of caffeine not only rejuvenates your body, but also allows you to perform magical powers, aptly known as caffeine. But not everyone can do it. Only people known as cuppers can. But they divide themselves from the filthy peasants who only drink coffee to feel alive. This magic power is usually used to keep yourself in power or fight people in caffeine duels. It was the weirdest yet most hilarious thing I think I've ever seen. The game puts such an emphasis on coffee and the flavors that it brings that I wish I loved coffee this much. It even dives into where beans are grown, how they get different kinds, why some are sought after. All I know is that if you don't drink your coffee black, you are a heathen. During your journey, you get to romance four separate ladies, them being Eliza, Mel, Alice, and Oceane. Oceane being my absolute favorite. Luckily, if you want to see the true ending, you get to experience all of them and get to decide for yourself who is the best. The writing in the game has some of the best balance I think I've ever seen in a visual novel. One second, here I am, laughing my head off because the writing is silly and quirky. It may make a poop joke, or a sex joke, or one too many coffee puns, which were so bad that they were good. Then next thing you know, the game takes a left turn and you're crying your face off. I cannot tell you how many times this happened to me. It really helped that when the scenes got intense, most of the dialogues got voiced to really help push the emotional hit even further. It was nice that the game would sometimes try to stick a joke into these moments to lighten the mood, but then it went right back to being sad. Every emotion is perfectly described or written. It sometimes goes into so much detail about the most random events, but this made the emotions of the scene even more powerful, and there were plenty of scenes where the feelings weren't diminished. With how large the game was, I honestly expected the dialogue to eventually wear thin now and again, but it never did. It was all perfectly paced, and depending on the ending you would get, you would see how Taka moved on from his initial goals and pursued an entirely different life. The true ending, unfortunately, ends with a specific character, though, that I will not spoil. But if you don't like her for one reason or another, you have no choice but to be with her. But all the characters are so amazing, I'd be surprised if you really hated anybody. The one thing I was really curious about was how every revelation would be tied together in the true ending, or if anything would be mentioned at all. But when the big twist happened, I was left sort of surprised. Yet at the same time, the game hints at how it was all possible. The one downside to the game, and this was huge for me, was the game had no flowchart. When you have a visual novel this large, with about a dozen endings, give the readers something to look at so they know how they're doing. It was such a pain to keep track of every route all by myself, but thankfully I had the trophies on PlayStation to sort of help guide me. But there were some endings that I wasn't sure whether they tied into a specific route or not, so that took a lot of trial and error to figure out. I did run into one really bad bug where my save files started to randomly corrupt on their own. If I loaded them, I'd be back at the start of the game. If I saved over them, they'd just go corrupt again. With 24 possible spots, I lost about 12 of them. And in visual novels, you usually end up saving a lot. So you can try different routes and make sure you're not reading through the game again to hit a specific branching section. Luckily, it can be fixed with time and patches. This visual novel is one of the most perfect reads I've ever had the pleasure of, well, reading. Not only is the dialogue extremely well written and goes into detail in the most perfect ways, it plays with all of your emotions like you're nothing but a little doll. The only thing that stops it from being an absolute perfection is that there's no flowchart. As I said, if there was, it would meet that mark easily, and I cannot recommend this enough. And that is why I give Caffeine Victoria's Legacy a 9 out of 10. Now, if you liked this review, um, you know, leave a comment down below if you'd like. If you'd like to keep up with everything I do, Um, I'll have my Twitter link down below. If you'd like to join the Node Gamers Discord channel, where I always am, and you can talk to me about this review or past reviews or games just in general, again, link is below. If you want to read the written article where this is from because you don't like hearing my voice, it's down below. So, I hope you have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night. And until next time, everybody, goodbye.